So we do the sermon today in a little different way. It'll be a dialogue between Philip and me, also known as Jesus and Nicodemus. Rabbi, please excuse my intrusion on you this late hour, but I need to talk to you. I am
Nicodemus. Yes, I know. I've seen you in the temple and among the crowds, Nicodemus, the Pharisee. Come in. Don't mind the hour. What can I do for you?
Rabbi, I have heard you speak, and I have seen you heal, and I know that you are a teacher who has come from God, for no one can do these signs that you do apart from the presence of God.
And yet, you do not believe, Nicodemus? You have heard me talking about earthly things, and you do not believe? How can you believe if I tell you about heavenly things? No one will ascend into heaven except the one who descended from heaven, the Son of Humanity.
I see. But how do I know that this Son of Humanity you are talking about is the one mentioned in the scriptures?
You know the story in the Torah where the people of Israel speak against God and against Moses as they wander through the wilderness?
Which one? Impatiently, the people of Israel often behave ungratefully, and they blame Moses and God to have brought them out into the wilderness to die. Though they receive their manna daily and they know that God is walking among them.
There's this passage with the snakes.
Oh, you mean when the poisonous snakes bite them and then they turn back to God?
I wouldn't quite say turn back, but yes, they cried to God for help, probably more out of self-preservation. And yes, they confess their sins. God hears them and instructs Moses to create a serpent of bronze and to put it on a pole. And anyone who gets bitten can look at the serpent of bronze and will survive the bite.
I've always found this to be a weird story. The thing that kills them becomes the symbol that saves them.
But that's exactly it. And it always will see the bronze serpent as both. Firstly, as a reminder that the reason for their suffering is to be found in their own bitterness and inclination to self-destruction. Otherwise, why would they blame the God that provides and feeds them reliably? And secondly, they recognize the bronze serpent as a symbol of their healing, a symbol that reminds them of God's act of loving and saving grace.
Yes, Rabbi, I do understand that. What I do not quite see is the connection of all this to the Son of Humanity you are talking about.
Just as Moses lifts up the serpent, so must the Son of Humanity be lifted up, so that everyone who believes in him will have eternal life.
Lifted up. But the Son of Humanity you are talking about is the Messiah, right? He is supposed to stay with us here and not to be lifted up somewhere, somehow, remotely. He's supposed to save, heal, change here and now.
Oh, yes. But trust me, Nicodemus, there are ways to lift up someone, and even God's Son of Humanity. That means a presence in the here and now, in impactful ways. And there will be saving and healing and change and transformation. Our world will turn upside down, just not as you and the other Pharisees think. I cannot reveal everything right now, and you wouldn't understand it all. But trust me, there will be a time when you look back and it all makes sense.
That is not very satisfying, teacher. You must admit that.
Yes, I know, but let me say this much. God loved the world in this way. He gave his only Son so that everyone who believes in him may not perish, but may have eternal life.
I'm not sure I understand. What do you mean by God gave his only Son? Gave it to whom?
Well, to the world, out of sheer love. Maybe offered is actually a better word.
That reminds me of another passage in the Torah.
Does it?
Yes, the offering of Isaac. Abraham also offered his only son to God as a burnt offering. And then in the very last second, God intervened and saved Isaac. But Abraham had shown true faithfulness, devotion, and trust to God. Quite the opposite of the people of Israel in the passage we were talking about earlier.
You are quite right, Nicodemus. And in the same sense as Abraham, God offers God's Son to humankind, with faithfulness and love, and shows that God's devotion to humankind is true. God's love is never ending. God's interest in changing our world is unrelenting. And that is why God offers his only child, for the sake of our deliverance.
Rabbi, one thing you keep repeating unsettles me. It is not what the Torah teaches. We are instructed to follow God's law strictly, and whoever doesn't follow the law cannot find favor in God's eyes. But you keep repeating that the whole world is loved by God. But the whole world doesn't follow God's law. And what about the Romans and those who hate and persecute us? How can they be loved by God? And how can everyone be saved?
Nicodemus, why do the people need God to judge them? They judge themselves with the way they are living and acting in relationship with one another. Why does God have to punish those who have already punished themselves by excluding themselves from the one and all that is life-giving, love? Their actions are their judgment.
So, God is not judging us, Rabbi? God is love?
Yes, God is love. What is more divine than love?
And you think that everyone who turns to look at the Son of Humanity lifted up, whatever that may look like, will be saved?
Yes, everyone. Remember the story of the snake-bitten Israelites? They were not pious or kind or patient or trusting, but they also received love and mercy. You know, I think we should leave the whole salvation business to God. Humans aren't that good at that.
I agree, Rabbi. But what are we supposed to do then? What is our task if not keeping the law and making sure the law is kept?
You will always keep the law if you love God and your neighbor as yourself. Always love. Do what is life-giving.
So then God is love, and love should be the foundation of everything we do. Is it as simple as that?
Yes, Nicodemus. That simple and that complicated.